Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Mason J Show. My name is Mason, of course. I will be your host for this episode with my truly great friend, Jay Bhylet. Jay has been one of my closest friends since my early years back at Frostburg. We're in the same fraternity. We moved to Colorado around the same time, and Jay has been a stand-up person in my life, without a doubt, since I've known him. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. I know it has been quite some time since I released my last one with Nick Gilson talking about their factory, snowboard factory, burning to the ground, which is a really fun episode to check out before this. But regardless, I've been going through my own motions in my life, living up here outside of Breckenridge, working at the ski resort, snowboarding as much as I can, trying to improve my skills. And while that sounds like a dream, and believe me, it is, I get used to it sometimes and forget, but it's been very consuming, and it's been interesting how my creative, juices have kind of ebbed and flowed, and this podcast is a project that I want to keep going through most of my life moving forward, and part of that means that the project itself has to bend and flow with my life. And I think moving forward, there are going to be some changes with the style of my podcast and the output, and so that I can continue making it without bogging myself down, because the real important part of this is the conversation. At the end of the day, the art of the conversation is what I thrive for, and where the real value of my skills through the podcast shine. So thank you guys for bearing with me while I work through these growing pains, we'll call them. But enough of that. Let's move on to this really fun, creative conversation with Jay Bhylet. We bounce around all over the place, so feel free to pick this up and put it down whenever you're bored. Thank you guys. On with the episode. Also, one more thing before I forget and we get into the episode. The audio track from the microphones on this recording got a little fuzzled in my computer, so the audio you're hearing is the raw audio from the camera we used to record. I did not want to not release this episode because of audio issues, so I am putting it out with not the best audio. There's some, you'll hear. Thank you guys for bearing with me. Great conversation. Into the episode.
I haven't seen you in a minute. We haven't sat down and talked in a while.
Really, yeah.
So,
and I'm interested to catch up and hear your side of things too, like what's going on in your life too, and just sharing that kind of stuff, so we can touch on that. It'll flow naturally.
yeah. Life's been weird. Life's been interesting.
I think life's been weird for a minute. I don't know exactly what normal would be, because it felt like the work from home life would be normal by most people's standards, but it's really not normal by human standards, because you're just kind of inside living your life on a computer, which is pretty abnormal to anybody who's lived, in the past 100 years.
Yeah, it's weird. As much as people want to make it normal and make it something to strive towards, it is weird. I feel like we've been, I don't know, this last couple of years has been a push towards just trying to be happy, try different shit, meet different people, and I feel pretty successful with it.
Yeah.
Not too bad. We've got a decent friend group, making good strides, making good progress, personally, so that's been the biggest,
you got a car, you got an apartment by yourself. That's, I don't know how you're affording both of those things, so your new job must also be treating you, relatively well, because...
It's decent, yeah. The job, it's good money for sure. I can't not see that. It's definitely good money. This is the most money I've ever made.
Because you pay more in rent than I do.
I paid about $17 in rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then $700 for my car between the note and the insurance. and it's eating me alive still.
Yeah.
Still, it's bad. But I mean, that's why we're making money moves now, trying to boss up, trying to learn better habits, create better habits, cut out old habits, and really just educate. That's really been the name of the game. That's where it's gotten me this far. It's just being willing to educate and push myself.
Yeah.
Really, like it's been dope so far. I definitely got no regrets. So.
And how much of that do you feel like is just going through like the normal adult motions of kind of being self-sufficient versus, you know, having fun, kind of living your life and exploring your passions? Like, is there a balance between the growth and both sides of that?
No, there's not a balance. No, it's definitely like after like dealing with COVID and then after school, I set out to basically spend a year just acclimating to real life and like trying to figure out that adult role on top of transitioning from kind of being an adult at school and like being self-sufficient to, oh, now you really got to do it. We in a different state type of deal.
Yeah.
So I was successful with that. Spent the year bullshitting and whatnot, and I got really complacent in that. And so the really like
bullshitting.
Yeah. Like the having fun bullshitting in like Colorado Springs was a little bit different living there than here, but it definitely was a little more of that because I could having a girlfriend and like being in that mental space of like, all right, you know, you good for a minute. If you just work in a regular restaurant job, it is what it is. You'll be alright. Just be happy. Make sure your girl's happy. Enjoy your dog. Enjoy being in a new place, and we'll make it work. And so far, that's worked, but that's where the unbalance happens, and adulting is now kicking my ass. Where I wish I would have learned the lessons I learned then before getting a $25,000 car. And it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, that's how much mine costs. We're kind of in the same boat with that. Like, I got that Subaru, what do I have? Outback.
Yeah.
It's like a 2015. I got it. It was 26, I think, off the sticker price, and then out the door it wound up being closer to 30, probably like maybe 27. Like at the end of the day.
While still having your other car, did you wish you kept driving that car a little longer?
No.
Sure. Okay.
I was very happy with my purchase.
That's what's up.
Yeah, the car is pretty dope. And the reason I jumped on it was because like I was looking for Tacomas, I was looking for 4Runners, you know, I was looking for something that I could kind of grow into and maybe use to camp either inside of or to be more like adventurous and get me to places that I could like tent camp. Which the Honda Accord that I had before was fantastic for everything but probably that.
Yeah.
Right. And so because I drove the Honda all the way out here, like I took trailers with it. It was a 4-cylinder manual Honda Accord, like 2003, I think it was, maybe 2001.
Pulling the trailer apart as well.
So many times, so heavy. Like pulling, because the first time I did it, I towed a trailer. It's like a 5x8 U-Haul trailer that like I got a towage put on the Honda when I got it, and I towed it from Frostburg to Chicago when I like made the move to the internship and moved up there, and that's like a 10-hour drive, but pretty flat, right? You're just kind of going across like the Midwest states, so it's not like tough on the engine, just the long term. I'm only going like 50, maybe 60 miles per hour, but
that's not bad.
And then back from Chicago, and then the big one was towing the trailer from Baltimore to Colorado, which is like a 24-hour trip, like 2 nights. And my mom was with me, and like the car was like loaded down, and it fucking kicked ass. A manual Honda is the way to go. Don't buy a truck. F-250.
Don't buy a truck.
Manual Honda.
That's hilarious.
But no, I didn't really. Once I got the Subaru, I was fucking done. I did like DoorDash with the Honda for a little while because I was kind of like playing the mental game of like, oh, I'm going to use the Honda as like a business vehicle.
Yeah.
And I did for a little while, and then I just realized how nice the Subaru was.
Yeah, I feel that.
I sold that.
I definitely feel that. Now, I kind of wish I kept my car for a second. Like, I live 4 minutes from my job, and I could literally, my car could be on empty and I could drive the whole week to work. Like the light could be on and I could go
What does
to
that
work.
mean?
And I live that close to my job.
So your car doesn't run on gas?
No, it does. But like the light could be on and I'd still go to work all week and not trip.
Yeah.
And get to Friday and be like, ooh, payday, we gonna fill that hole up.
Yeah.
And like it'd be fine, but with that, it kind of made me think that I definitely could have waited a couple months into this lease to get this car, been a little bit better with my money as opposed to shelling out $700 immediately plus $1,600 for rent.
Yeah.
And so,
But you know what? Fuck that.
obviously, no.
Because like I know how nice that car's been for you,
Yeah,
and
that's
like
very
over
true.
the winter, and like I know how much you like to shuttle people
Yeah.
around and like
Yeah.
help people with, you know, driving to the mountains or going camping.
It's winter. That shit was key.
Yeah.
Like
So
that
much
made
more
me-
key than your car would.
Yeah. That's very true.
It's impossible
Very,
because
very
you've got like 3 rows, plenty of space for
Mm.
2 big ass Newfoundlands
Yeah.
and 3 people.
And
2
now
people.
I'm planning to camp in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that car's definitely been a blessing. Like I don't regret getting it. I just wish I had been smarter about it. That's all. Cause like whenever I got it, it was like I was definitely in a money pinch, but at the same time, I had saved up some money for it. My mom helped me out, and then I had just gotten my new job. So
Yeah.
like first check came with the bonus. I think first check was like $4,000, and majority of that went towards paying old bills, starting new bills, down payments.
Right.
And so $4,000 gone in a week.
Fast.
It's like, fuck, man. Yeah, that was the first like, dang, I had some money, now I ain't got no money.
Yeah, I was pretty broke when I bought my car. Like I think I didn't have enough money to buy it.
Yeah.
Like the only way I was able to, cause like I had it, but like I didn't have all of it until my paycheck was to come. But it kind of worked out because I like was gonna register it in Maryland, and I bought it in Colorado in Denver, but I was gonna register it in Maryland because my ID's still from there,
Yeah.
and the taxes in Maryland were cheaper by like I think it's 7% out here. It's like 5% sales tax
Yep.
for vehicles in Maryland, so it saved me like 6, 4, 5, however much money. It was maybe like upwards of $600
Yeah.
in taxes, which was good because I didn't have that $600 at the time,
Hell yeah.
and I wouldn't have been able to pay for it. And it just wound up like a month, a couple weeks went by, and I realized like, oh, if I register in Maryland, I have to get the car inspected in Maryland and emissions tested in Maryland, which meant I'd have to drive it back over there. And at that time, I was like, I'm not driving back over there.
Yeah.
So I called the dealership back and went and got it registered and all the paperwork for Colorado. And at that time, I had to pay that extra money, but then I had the money.
Yeah,
Because I had like
It worked
couple
out.
pay cycles that went by at that time. So I was like, oh, fine,
Yeah, that's what's up.
But at the time I bought it, that was like my last $1,500 I had in my account, which was very silly.
Yeah, bro, I'm telling you, I'll be running on E, and it's like, ooh, bank account can't be this close to zero, man.
But it can.
God, I mean, it has, yeah. I guess it can, and
You know?
it's for sure coming with lessons, and we definitely pushing the envelope of safety, but
Fuck
it's
it.
working. It's working.
I think that's how you have to do it.
It's yeah, I think so. I mean, I watch other people stress themselves like old, basically.
Yeah.
Like, people really just stress themselves to death with either things they can't control or money, and it's like, hey man, it's not even that serious. Like certain shit, you just gotta let go or allow what's gonna happen to happen.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And like I've realized that you're gonna stress with it, or you're still gonna stress without it. So sometimes you might as well have it and stress with it. And like in the sense of vehicle, like for me, a vehicle is pretty important. For us, some other people can get by without vehicles, and it's a lot cheaper and a lot less stress. But I think it's more stress too, because like I've just been accustomed. I've had my own vehicle since I was in high school.
The mental independence is needed.
Yeah.
Like some people, they have it here and there, but knowing that I can get up and go whenever I need to, I can provide myself with what I need when I have to.
You can get to work.
That's just the dependency.
Yeah.
Like knowing you can depend on yourself, and it's like I don't gotta work. Yeah, no, that's huge. That's that hype. Oh man, I have friends that just never experienced that. Like friends, we were in college, don't got a license. It's like, yeah, you just,
Crazy.
yeah, you know, I'm gonna get it. When? It's like
As soon as I was able to get my license, like the day
Mhm.
I got it.
Yeah.
As soon as I was like 15 and however months, driver's
15
class.
and
Like, I wanted
months.
that immediately.
That geeks, yeah. I remember that, and then having to deal with driver's ed. They wanted what, $400 in Howard County for a driver's ed. It's
Wow.
like, I'm in high school. What? My parents are making me pay this.
That's a lot.
Where is this? And it's like, no, it's also not convenient because I had to drive like maybe 2 towns over. It was bad.
And that's why a lot of people don't get it, because you do have to go through all that.
that's
But
what-
that small investment is way worth it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, some people also just. I come around a lot of irresponsible people, much more than I want to. And I realize that a lot of their habits are kind of self-inflicted. Like, the things they don't have is like, oh, you don't care for these things.
Mhm.
Like, these are necessities to most people, but you just don't care. Fair enough. It is what it is, I guess. It's kind of weird to look at.
But you don't have to worry about those people because you got yourself to worry about.
No, I just have to interact with these people. But yes, I don't actually worry. No,
Yeah.
no.
But I bet those
You
people
just
look to you
response.
as, you know, a mentor, or maybe they look up to you and they don't even realize they do, because you've, from the outside in at least, look like you've kind of got your shit going on. You know, you've got a car, you've got a place,
Yeah.
you've got 2 dogs, and you're not like, you're still having a good time and going out, like you're not
Yeah,
kind of
this is true.
crippling and spreading a bunch of negativity, like you're out here having a good
Yeah.
time. So for those
Yeah.
people that don't have it going on, they look at you and they're like, damn, how's he got it going on?
Yeah, hey, if they sat down with me and whatever, they found out it ain't nothing going on. But no, I mean, I'm definitely down to fake it till I make it till now. I feel like the world we live in, there's a lot more value in that than trying to wallow in the reality of everything.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think there's too much value to that. You'll, like I see all the time, worry yourself to death, literally. And so, yeah, I don't know. Don't
Yeah,
want to be
man,
like
it
that.
sounds like you've been down some dark holes.
Nah, I just work around a lot of depressed ass adults and a bunch of old folks and shit, and
You sure that's an industry you want to stay in?
absolutely not. No,
That's-
absolutely not.
I
wanna
look
get the
I
hell
look
out
at
of
the old people where I work and the ones that have been there for a while, because that's what you're gonna end up like if you keep working there.
Oh no, yeah, no. I laugh in their faces. I tell them I'll never work here for 20 years. That's absurd. I would never work anywhere for 20 years. I'll
Yeah.
work for myself for 20 years, of course. But no, I mean, even it's that the job has been a very eye opener. Like, this is the first time I've ever dealt with something like a union, being in a union, and hearing how the guys talk about it, hearing what the union says, and then hear what my mom wants to tell me about it. It ain't for me. I think it breeds a very brainwashed type of mentality, and it's weird. Like,
Yeah, union labor and like just union organizations are a weird like sliver of the American, because I don't think they have unions in other countries. I don't really know.
yeah, I don't know about that one.
But I know I learned a lot about it in school, about how kind of they started with the factories here, and just, you know, it's very like clean cut.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, just the mentality that they breed, where they try and keep people comfortable for whatever amount of years, and people actually pay into that. Like, I work with people that will be in like meetings and stuff, and it's like, hey man, back when I started in '98, it's like, what? Excuse me? You started in '98? Like, in my head, society on top of yourself, you failed each other. Like, you kind of failed. If you've been anywhere for 20, like, you've been complacent for 20 years is what that says to me. And I also realize that that's not exactly how it is every time.
Yeah.
But when people, like, we have gripes, and they'll hear the younger guys talk about stuff, and then they'll go, yeah, it's been that way for 20 years. And it's like, this is not something I want to deal with for 2 days.
Yeah, I will say though, and I learned this recently as of this winter, that's very dependent on the industry that you work in, because with, you know, the trails crew at Breckenridge, where I worked this winter and am now working in the summer and will be working in the winter again, there's like 5, 6, 7 old guys that have been there for, you know, Dave's been there for 25 years, Randy's been there for 20 plus years, you know, Odie's been there for 35.
Jesus.
Butch has been at Breckenridge for 50 years.
See,
He's been on the trail crew for this is his 50th summer on the trails crew, and that man could not be happier where he's at. He loves it, and he like teaches us like the new guys all how to do it, and mainly because he's going to be phasing out soon.
Yeah.
But like that's a guy that comes to work happy. He hikes. He's like 67.
That's what's up.
You know, and he's like working just as hard as we are, putting up fences. And I haven't seen anybody like that before working at Breck that's been at a company for that long. That's like this healthy and this energized and this like jazz. He's a ski patroller in the winter and just like has literally been at Breck since it basically started. Like,
That's dope.
you know, and
That sounds like a fun career. Other than like where I work is it's a blue collar job, and that what you described doesn't sound like a blue collar job. It might be categorized as that, but it seems more fun.
the work feels like it, but it's not what you typically would think.
Like I definitely, I don't know, just the photos I've seen you take and the things I've seen maybe you do not necessarily work, but it looks fun. Like that's what I would enjoy, being out in the woods all day, low key chopping logs, running excavators. That'd be
Yeah.
great. That's what I grew up watching, like as a kid for some
You
reason.
can come do that with me.
Hey, tell me, the second it makes money and pays my bills the way I need, I will be up here.
Yeah, I think this
100%.
job though is one that it's not going to pay your bills right away. Like I work 2-3 jobs right now. You know, I'm making 21, you know, out of my first year, which is fine. But everybody's making 20 at Vail,
Yeah.
so I'm not like that much up. But it's a place where you're kind of, I think the older guys would say different about this, but your consistency staying there gets you raises each year, and the better your relationships are, the better your opportunities can be.
That makes
But-
sense.
It's oddly worth it, and they know it's worth it, which is like the sneaky part. Management knows how fun it is to work at the resorts, which is why they're not paying like what other operators get paid. You know, these construction workers are making $50 some dollars an hour plus overtime, where we're way underpaid for working graveyard shift and, you know, being out here. But it's because people love it and they want to be out here and experience this. And it's different than anywhere, like I said, I've worked before, because it's not like your typical, like it's not carpentry, it's not an electrician, you know, but it is a little bit of everything. And it's so far it's stayed kind of fresh, and it's like relaxed and it's chill, so it's not like intense blue collar work. There's definitely some hard days of like digging holes and moving rocks, but then you can also like look up for a second and you're on the side of, you know, a 10,000, 12,000 foot mountain, just like, well, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, like
You know,
that's what's up.
it's like maybe the money's not perfect, but you know it's never going to be perfect. But what it is kind of like good for your brain.
Yeah.
I guess if you like being outdoors and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff, like it kind of pays you in dopamine sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas a normal job probably don't get as many hits.
I like that. I like that. Well, on that note, welcome back to the Mason J Show. I'm your host, Jay. Start now. We got our co-host for this episode, Mason J himself,
This is me. Hello.
aka Mountain Man.
I'm going to be taking a side step for this episode while Jay handles the ropes, and it is the Mason J show, so it's only right that I bring Jay in today.
Hey, it makes sense to me. So no, we're gonna definitely keep it going. I definitely like hearing about your job. Like I said, we only, I say we as in friends, see things through Instagram for the most part, and it's definitely the highlight of all of our days. Like we
That's
wake
nice.
up in the morning to either you in a snowcat or now in the summers to a nice sunrise. It is definitely refreshing to see at least someone enjoying some part somewhere else. It's dope.
Yeah.
So like, tell us more about that. How's that been going?
Well, I guess it kind of starts with when I was like over the winter, because that's when I started working at Breck in October, which is kind of like when the last season of the podcast tapered off. I think I live in Frisco right now, so I moved to Frisco in October and then started the job at Breck in November. And I think the last episode of the podcast of last season came out like first week of October or something like that. So kind of just like recapping since the last update episode with Sierra, but yeah, I just started working graveyard shifts, got the opportunity through a buddy of mine to snow groom at Breckenridge, and I got the job way easier than I ever expected. You know, I thought this was like I think timing was very on my side for this, just like being just after the pandemic and a lot of the crew had left because of whatever reasons over that time, and you know, staffing issues, and so they were hiring on a bunch of people. I was like one of 11 rookies that had never groomed before on a shift of like 15 or 16 people.
Ooh,
so
okay.
specifically for the graveyard, there's like a swing shift, which all guys take because that's like 4 to midnight, and then we do midnight to 8 a.m. But so it was kind of crazy. But and started grooming, had like 2 days of training, and third day was in the cat by myself.
Ooh.
And those that aren't familiar, these snowcats are like these monstrous tracked vehicles. The tracks are probably 3-4 feet wide on either side, and just they're made to crawl up and down the ski runs, and it has this massive tiller on the back of it that cuts up all the snow and then almost like reorganizes it and pats it down into like the corduroy strips that
Beautiful
you see.
corduroys.
Yeah, and it has like a big blade on the front to scrape and, you know, chop up the ice and really just like groom the snow however you want it to look, which
That's dope.
it was definitely difficult. I feel like each one of the jobs I've had, be it the trade show management job where I worked in Chicago, the mortgage processing when I worked in Baltimore, and from home, Denver, just got home.
Yeah.
Have always like prompted me with like these really difficult learning curves that have been specific to each one, but equally as challenging. And this one has been just like a mental exhaustion like I've never felt before. Not necessarily physical, because like over the nights we're just kind of like sitting in the cats, not like physically moving, but just the mental battle of like fighting fatigue and learning this machine and knowing that like, oh, if I fall asleep right now, it's like 4 a.m., my eyes are like closing. If I fall asleep right now, this cat doesn't know I'm asleep.
Cliff, yeah.
And it's just gonna keep going until like I hit something, and it's meant to keep going.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So it's like, there's that side of the job, but then also the really cool side is that you're out on the mountain, you know, alone with your crew for all hours of the night. Nobody else is out there. You get really nice, like, clear skies where you see every single star, you know, more than I've seen elsewhere because there's no light pollution at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
You go up on like peak 6 and it's like on a full moon, it's daytime up there because of how reflective the snow is. And then you get these really cool sunrises that only last for like 20 minutes, really quick. You know, you either see it or you don't if you're up for that long. And it's just like some of the craziest colors. Like I think Ocean City, Maryland is another spot that had really good sunrises, like more notable than anywhere else. For whatever reason, I guess the way the water is with the bay there, but and then here is pretty equally like better than Ocean City.
Yeah.
Ocean City is like oddly not too far behind it though with what I remember.
That's what's up.
But it's just like so weird for the brain to go like a day in the life would be like working midnight, going through the shift, grooming for 8 hours, seeing the sunrise, you know, being exhausted the entire night, and like there's beautiful sights in front of you, and you're like just spent the whole night hallucinating, looking at the snow because you're so fucking tired.
Yeah.
And then you see this crazy sunrise, and then the sun's up, and then you go snowboard because you get off at 8. I get off at 8.
Jeez.
And then go snowboard till 2, and then go home, go to sleep till 10:30 p.m. and go back in at midnight, 5 days a week.
Sheesh. That is an absolute grind. Endless grind.
It doesn't really feel like it though.
True. That's good.
It does feel like it, but
Yeah,
not in a
actually-
way that like other jobs have felt like it.
That's what's up. So you get a sense of enjoyment in a different way. And it does it kind of balance it out?
I don't even know, like it's hard to explain because it's not really Of course it's enjoyment, but like that's not the like emotion that comes to mind or that I feel, because it's different. Like I've felt like very high enjoyment phases, but this is almost like it feels right for me, and I feel like for a lot of other people it would be very unenjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like fun, and like I felt the psych to like get in the cat the first time I did it. Maybe for like the first week that I did it, it's just like, whoa, this is so dope. Like I get to drive this thing by myself and just like go out on the ski run, and these things like can climb over almost everything.
Yeah.
But then like 3 months into it, working 5 nights a week, midnight shifts, like getting 5 hours of sleep every night, like it sets in, and you kind of get like jaded to it, so like all the pizzazz is kind of like settled. But oddly, even in that, like that, in most other jobs, when you're 3 months in and like really into the routine of everything, and it's not special anymore, you kind of get like burnt out.
Yeah.
But even like the burnt out, like I said, that I've never really felt before in this way, it still seemed worth it to be out there, you know. And it seems universal. Like some guys flaked out, but everybody, maybe like 3, like came, and in that first couple times they were like, yeah, this isn't for me.
True.
But the majority of the guys that it was for them, like everybody was like going through it each night.
Yeah.
But somehow like coming back the next night to do it again.
Yep. No, I think I'd really enjoy that. I like heavy machinery. I like driving shit. Like that's the biggest thing. And so I think I definitely wouldn't mind doing that. I don't know about the night shift. I've never done that. That'll fuck with my head after a while, but
It does.
It definitely seems like a dope job.
It is weird how it fucks with your head, because like we're all angrier at night, because that was like one of the other mental things that to overcome was this just like ornery. I don't know if that's the right word, but it sounds like it is. Or just like crankiness. Cranky's probably better.
Yeah.
I know what that means
Yeah.
more. But
Straight
just
up
like
irritable.
irritable. That, you know, we're all just kind of communicating over like radios. Every cat's got the radio that you like click down the button to talk into. So if you can say anything to anyone, unless you call them on the phone, like everybody hears it. So everybody's kind of like getting snappy with each other, and it's like, at least last season, we all groomed like as a pack a lot, because we were all rookies, so nobody really knew enough to like go off on their own for a little while, and we groomed like whoever's leading the packs in front, and then depending on how the trail is, let's just say for example for this one, we're like staggered off to the right, so it's like one's here, and then almost like cutting grass, so like overlapping.
What the hell? What are y'all doing? Get out! Oh, no. Get out!
You gotta get up and get them.
Zeus, get out!
We've had a disaster. Oh, we will be right back after a short intermission. Jay, what just happened?
Oh, well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know, the plants was flying, his dogs was moving, lights was falling. Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
Our previous discussion was interrupted by Jay's 2 adorable movements that are larger than they realize.
I'm very gracious. You speak so highly of them as they are. Nice little fluffy Tasmanian devils that
They're massive.
like just yesterday, like Herc, I don't know what they got into. Herc explosive shit in the cage. Like
Gross.
and there's no way to handle it. You just get home and it's like,
Yeah.
like you kind of laughing and it's like, let me smoke real quick.
I don't know how you do it. That's the reason that I don't have animals in my life, is just because I don't have that in me. Because you don't have to clean up explosive shit if you don't live with a creature that explosively shits sometimes.
Well, hey, most of them don't until they eat out the trash and decide to eat whole stuff, like little dolls. Like they'll just chew up their toys and eat the whole piece.
Yeah.
And like the other day, Herc shit out.
Because they think they're like animals.
I don't know what
know?
maybe it tastes good, but yeah, hey, you'll get to see the development of patience with Dimitri, because I think that's going to be very fun to watch.
Do you think it's going to change him? We have a friend, Dimitri, that is it a golden?
Yeah, golden retriever.
Yeah.
Doug. Little Doug. But I don't think it'll change him. I think it'll teach him more. Like Dimitri's one of the most patient people we have, like in our group. And
Yeah.
once you get close to him, obviously, like anybody, you see where their patience is pushed because they'll tell you. And I think this will be one of them. Like, he's got an explosive shit animal right now. Like, especially as a puppy, that's prime explosive.
Because it's a gold?
No, just puppy. No,
Just
yeah,
puppy.
just because it's a puppy, just house training, you gotta go through the whole 9 yards. Luckily with my dogs, I got Herc at 5 and Zeus was 2. So they had already passed that stage. But
Apparently not.
well, they know not to do it. It's when they can't help it.
Right.
When it gets bad.
Poor
And
guys.
9 times out of 10, it's my fault. But typically, they do their thing. But on Dimitri's hands, we're gonna probably
Lots of
see
shit.
and hear everything. Lots of pee, lots of shit, lots of chewed up stuff.
He's got carpets.
He's got both.
Mm-hmm.
He's got nice house. But I think his mom's got Charlie, so he's definitely used to it, and his mom's obviously raised animals, probably has as well. So I think it'll be interesting, but we're all excited to see it. But it'll be for sure a journey to keep an eye on, because I'm expecting. Like,
I didn't even know that.
I seen how he is. Like Zeus is annoying. Like when he's on the grill, he's chefing it up for everybody. Zeus comes, grabs a couple dogs. He's like snapping. I'm like, hey yo, get his ass. Like,
Yeah.
Get him, Dimitri.
Yeah, I love
But
that.
like, it's the knee jerk stuff that dogs do that will really teach you the lessons. Like you just see a dog over there just munching on your plant. It's like, hey, what the? And you just eventually you like, all right, we're just gonna put the plant up here.
Yeah.
And
Like I
we're
just did with the plant.
Yeah. Like the minor learning and then the minor adjustment to your attitude, it helps. And
I think that
it'll
will
be
apply well to kids if that time
I think
comes. You know?
I feel like what's interesting is
They explosively shit, I hear.
when absolutely.
I hear
It's actually it lasts a lot longer than dogs,
Gross.
and it's a lot more frequent because babies shit.
Are you still explosively shitting?
We're not gonna talk.
I'm
Nah,
not claiming that.
only after certain nights with certain friends. But no, about that comment, bro. I've been dogged out by women from saying that. That like comparing dogs, like taking care of a dog to a kid. Like women have like, I would never think of my child like that. Like, I don't
It's more of a
make
kid
sense
than
to me.
not having a dog.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
I can't take care of a dog yet. Which means that I definitely can't take care of a kid.
No. Kids are something else. I've got a friend with a COVID baby, and she's 3 right now, and she
What is
says the most wildest shit.
They got a baby from COVID? Instead of
She
stimulus
had a
check?
baby that was born in COVID. Dude, so like COVID baby nonetheless. But
Does it have to wear a mask?
now
all the
she's
time?
3 years old, and it's the craziest shit ever. Like,
Yeah. How so? Like, what's it
because
doing?
she speaks very well, but doesn't know shit.
Well, that's just a 3-year-old.
Well, you think that, but then they start saying stuff that has absolutely, like, you should not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mommy with the weed, and it's like you can't say that. Like,
Mommy with the weed.
with the weed, and it's oh man, I didn't smoked around a baby, now the baby. Jay coming through the smoke. What?
You got 3-year-olds saying that?
Bruh.
See, the animals don't talk.
No, they don't. That's what I mean.
Maybe it's easier to raise a dog.
It absolutely is.
Than a
No,
kid.
it absolutely is. It definitely is. Like I've got niece and nephews that now they're a handful, but as babies, night and day, all day long.
They're just
Mostly
acting like babies all the time.
just babies, yeah. Just
being a big old baby about everything.
It's just
Just whining,
100%.
like
Yeah.
a
You can't put your baby in the cage and put the blanket over it and be like, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, people will call you if you do that.
Yeah, they'll show up at your house. They're not making calls.
You can put your baby in a cage as long as it doesn't have a roof on it, and that's a cradle. Can't argue with me
I
on that
guess that is very true. That
Yeah.
is a cage.
It's a cage. To be in a
Advertised
cage.
as a cage.
Yeah, just no
Okay.
lid. There should be a lid because those babies crawl out of here.
They definitely do. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's plenty of videos of that.
But if you have a baby cage in your baby room, people are gonna be like, "What's going on with this?"
if you had a dog cage,
Parent. You know,
it's a dog cage with a little spinny thing.
they put a rocker on it, so it's less like cage-like.
It'd be horrible. why does your fucking cage have seatbelts on it? It's like, oh,
It's for the babies.
it's for the babies. We got an escaper.
Yeah, really.
Nah, that'd be horrible. All right, so what's up with you? We might skip over a couple things, but what is your ideal on kids? Like, what's your ideal, or right now, when do you think would be a good time to have kids? Or would you have kids?
For sure. I mean, to be honest with you, the only thing I really want to be in life is a dad. Later on.
Yeah, that's what
Not right now.
No,
Because I don't, like, I haven't got to where I need to be. And the same way that, like, I'm not in a relationship right now is because I feel like I can't get to where I want to be unless I can be, like, extremely selfish with all my choices.
Yep.
Because that's kind of just what it's taken to get to this point, and you know, not in like a do others wrong kind of way, but just like do myself right in every chance I can.
Yeah.
And sometimes like sharing your time with people takes away from that.
Damn, I never heard of that like that. Do yourself right in everywhere you can. Damn, I like that.
Yeah, I just off
That's
the dome with that one.
I mean, I literally have never heard that, and that's a great way to put that. It makes it sound less heinous, even though it actually isn't.
Yeah.
Like, I think the word selfish maybe societally has negative connotation to it, but it doesn't always have to. And I think putting it that way gives it a little bit more of I'm not looking to be mean to you, I'm just looking to be good to me.
Yeah. And usually it has nothing to do, like other people, I think being mean to other people is kind of an intentional move. Like even if I'm selfish about something, I have people around me that are also on the same like maturity.
Mm-hmm.
So they understand if I'm like, hey, I just don't like have the time, I don't have the money, like I'm not really feeling it today. It's never like I'm upsetting anyone. I've kind of, you know, I'm honest about it. I'm not like lying to people about why I'm not doing something. I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that.
For sure.
And they're like, cool. Catch you next time. You know?
All right. So when is it too late? Like some people like to put an idea on when it's too late to have kids. I don't know when when it physically is too late, but
I don't know.
say you're like enjoying life, 37, kicking it. You got a girl of like 2 years. The idea makes sense, but at the same time, like I could do a little better. Like I could grind it out.
You mean like just when is the right time to have that kid if it's not right now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm kind of reverse engineering that, but yeah.
Probably once there's a little bit more momentum. I don't have to be where I want to be, but I need to have more in line or like a clearer path. I need to make some more like bigger decisions about what's going on than I have up to this point. Because like I feel like you don't want to be super old and have a kid because then you like want to be a kid with your kid.
Yeah.
Right? You want to like be bros, not like parents, I guess.
Yeah.
In some situations I guess you'd have to.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, probably once you feel yourself getting old is when you should have a kid so that you're not like super old.
I feel that.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe like sometime in the 30s. My mom had me when she was 30. I don't know. I feel like you want to be around for most of your kids and grandkids' life, so you should look at your health, because if you feel like you're going to die, probably shouldn't.
Yes, I probably shouldn't. I was going to say you should probably hurry up. Yes, I just don't. Don't have any kids.
I don't know where I was going with that. Some of these sentences go to places and other ones just kind of don't, you know?
Oh, those are the best ones. Those are the best ones.
But yeah, I mean, that's whenever the time's right. Now is not the time. I feel like I'll have a better idea when it's closer.
Has your mom ever like hinted to you like?
I don't even have a girlfriend. I can't have a kid.
I mean, like that don't stop parents. Parents still be like, so you talking to anybody?
Oh yeah, no, my mom's not pushy at all. About
Sure,
that.
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, she had, like I said, she had me when she was 30. She was living in Key West. And that, you know, probably isn't the perfect time to have a kid. But it, like, worked out.
I mean, I would not to say time. Do kids, are there schools in Key West?
I don't know. I grew up there.
Every
I'm sure
time
there's
I've gone
one,
to Key West, it's tourist.
Yeah. Which is why I think we moved up here when I was, like, 2.
Okay.
Because most of my mom's side of the family is up this way, so I think she wanted to raise me up. Like the schools are better, the community's probably more conducive to
Up
like
this way is
childhood.
Bhylet?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maryland, yes. Like the Baltimore area is where I grew up.
No, that's what's up though. Like my parents are low key kind of pushy. They stopped being that way once I kind of pushed back. I'm like, hey, chill out.
Yeah.
But my dad, it doesn't stop him. You got a girlfriend? No, man. You do know what the dating pool is like.
I said I got 2 dogs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No girlfriend
life. Yeah, that's the issue. Yeah, that's the main issue. But no, yeah, I don't know. We have a lot of friends with pushy parents, and they like to verbalize how much they want them to be having kids, and it's like, take it easy. Like, not everything's got to be how it used to be.
Because they want grandkids.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
I guess.
A lot of parents, once their kids leave the nest, they have nobody at home to take care of, so they want that idea of care, nurture, and whatnot. Like, right now, my mom is taking on special needs babe kids. Like, she got certified by the government to take on kids at the house. And since, I think my little sister, it's been maybe 2-3 months since my little sister's gone, she's low-key lonely. And so, I don't know, I definitely, I see why they push for it, but I got annoyed with it, so I gave it pushback, and I was like, I'm over that. But I hear it a lot in friends.
Yeah.
Their parents are definitely pushy, wanting to get married. We also have a lot of friends that are getting married.
A lot of people got to figure out what they got going on before they can bring anybody else into it.
I wish most people were like that.
My
that is not.
Goal number 1 is figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Because I know like what has gone on, but I'm not sure what's going on in the future. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, nobody does. That definitely makes sense.
You know, I know what I would like to have going on.
All right, what's that? Break it down.
I don't know.
What? All right. So
I don't know enough to like put it to words on a podcast, you know, but like
fair
I have,
fair
it's not really like a plan that I have written down. Like I'm not good at preparing for things, but like as things are happening, I know what the right direction is.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean,
so like,
I watched you facilitate just about everything you're doing. Like,
thank you.
from the first podcast to this one, along with everything else. We've either talked about it, you either talked about it, or at some point in time we saw it and was like, oh, that'd be cool to do. And now we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, where's your mind at now in that, with that like idea? Because there's no way you're not dreaming about the next jump, the next leap. You're not that type of person to just be, oh, I'm cool here.
No, I mean, that's the biggest problem that I struggle with is like never being happy with what I have after I've had it for like 6 months. Mm-hmm. Mainly my like situation, my living situation or my employment. Those are the main things. I've kind of got around that once I moved up here, but like from graduating and living in Chicago, COVID hit, so that's kind of a weird situation, but like I moved back home and then just to like rest for a second and figure out the next move, and then by the time I was there, I got like that mortgage job, and I was always like thinking about where I'd rather be, and I didn't know where that place was, but by thinking about it, I kind of broke through like the fog of it and found out that it was here in Denver. Colorado, we'll say overarching, but like I moved to Denver and then was there for 10 months, and then it just wasn't like exactly what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And for some reason I just have this, I've always, like my mom will say the same thing, it's like if it's not the way that I want it, like I'm not happy with it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's a bad thing. No. Because it's what I want, you know?
Sure.
I'm not hurting anybody to get what I want. I'm like kind of, but Denver wasn't exactly it, and mainly like just the drive from Denver to the ski resorts is horrendous and not sustainable. Like to travel on weekend after weekend, the traffic is horrible. It's so dangerous. The conditions when it snows, it's like unpredictable.
Yep.
And also, I was still working from home, and just like things weren't exactly right. But it, again, not in a way that I can like put to words. It was more just like an internal feeling. It's like a feeling that I feel when I don't have anything to do, and it's just like maybe you call it anxiety, or it's like anticipation, or maybe it's like excitement that like, oh, we're getting close, like I should be doing something right now, and not like why don't I have anything to do?
I think there's ambition in there, like the ambition to continue. I feel like our generation is kind of blanketed with that. I see a lot of older adults kind of given the idea that young people are always on the go with nowhere to go. And I think that's kind of what you just described. Like, it comes out in these ways where you do feel anxious and or discomfort, and like discomfort in ways you wouldn't expect. And like I said, you've explained it to me where you didn't like your 9 to 5. You straight up just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like you were able to get your way out of it, but like you were able to, this is not working for me. And so I saw that energy turn into this.
That was a mortgage job you're talking about?
Yeah. Like I remember being in Denver and you just talking about it. It's like, even before moving out here, you had, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna move to Breck. And I was like, all right. And then we kind of, conversation led to one conversation, months pass, it actually happens. And I don't know, I think you'd be the first to say, but like when I do shit like that, typically there was no particular thing that I did to do that. It was more so just like alternately focusing on it without focusing on it, if that makes sense. And that's how a lot of my things have come to. Like I done with what I had to at the time, but on the back burner, things were kind of moving. Things were kind of, the motion was kind of getting going on certain things, and that's how I ended up in Denver.
Yeah.
And I live in Denver. So, to bring it back full circle, what is, like, do you have any of that still? Like, not to say the discomfort in, but the thrive for the next move.
Yeah, I definitely do. And it's kind of like around this time is when it's starting, like that 6-month period is almost hitting, where I've, without a doubt, had one of the most incredible winters of my life. Just experience-wise and exposure and like skill progression and everything. It was, and I'll absolutely be here again this winter and probably next winter. Like my tolerance for a location has expanded threefold, right? Because usually I've been like in one place for a year, in another lease, in a different apartment for a year, like Chicago, Baltimore, like we were at Frostburg I was really there for 2 semesters, which is kind of maybe a little over a year. But now I'm like, okay, I can do 3 years, 3 seasons, 3 years here. It's kind of where I'm at to get like the experience for the job, and like I've found something that feels like something locked into place. Like a part of this is right, the financials aren't exactly right. Like I'm working a lot to maintain the lifestyle up here, but oddly, like it's way more worth it than when I was working the mortgage job.
Yeah.
Because that job was like mentally straining in a different way than this job is mentally straining, being the grooming. Just like so many numbers, so much. I've never had a job that 5 o'clock hits and your work anxiety of like the stuff you need to get done just doesn't stop, because like the timer on like the way, not to get into too much detail, but like loans have to close at a certain time, and if they don't close, these people don't get a house, and this guy doesn't get paid, and I don't get paid if it doesn't close by a certain time. It's like a big issue. So it's just like that timer doesn't stop even though work stops. So sometimes when like things have to get done, you're just like, your brain's on that thought all the time, 24 hours a day, and that's exhausting.
Yeah, that's unhealthy.
I don't know how people do that career for forever. I mean, those people are pretty crazy.
People don't. People, they find weird ways to cope. They do weird stuff. They do drugs.
Yeah.
But hey,
They do drugs.
That is, that can be a rabbit hole for sure. But no, I definitely want to talk about this past season. I think for a lot of our friend group, we had a phenomenal season. Mm-hmm. This was a season where
winter snowboarding. You're talking about.
Yes. This season was snowboard season. Yes, this past winter was one of the larger friend group gatherings every weekend I've ever been a part of. Like I've never met up with the same people every weekend outside of being forced to in school, and so it made for a very fun winter.
Yeah.
And I think you'd have a lot to say about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, this winter, honestly, I really didn't get to ride as much with everyone as you probably did, just because of the way my schedule was. And you guys rode Icon a lot. Like, I really rode Breck more, or like Epic Mountains.
You have 3 times as many days on snow as all of us.
Being Breck, I think I got close to 90. I think. I don't know, the apps are kind of funny. I gotta keep better track of myself next year. But, yeah, I mean, it was the most progression, the most time on snow that I personally have ever had. Like, I've never been able to snowboard 6 days a week, you know, on top of work. Like, it doesn't interrupt anything. I'm not like, I'm snowboarding from open to 2, however many hours that is, open to 3, every day, being able to, like, hammer these runs back to back to back, and, like, having the pleasure of being able to ride by myself with nobody else. And, like, I don't know about you or other people, but for me, I can't, like, learn and practice new things when I'm around a group of people, because, like, I like hanging out with everyone. Like, I don't want to go, like, introvert mode, but I have to focus. So, like, I have to do reps, and I have to, like, focus and get things, and, like, I can't have people tell me things sometimes. You know, not everybody's good at coaching, but everybody sometimes wants to, like, give tips and stuff, and you can get, like, overloaded with stuff. And a lot of times, like, I just like to have nobody to tell me how to do it. Like, I really get a lot of enjoyment out of figuring things out by myself, if I can. If I can't, I'll get help, of course. But I don't know that I can until I try, you know. But that was really big for me this season, snowboarding, because falling, you know, there's an embarrassment that there shouldn't be, but there is sometimes, and it's just a lot, and you, like, lose the group if you fall. You know, you don't want to, like, be the one holding everyone up, so you're always kind of, like, keeping up and doing things that are safe, that you know you can do, and not, like, bust your ass and lose the whole group. But if you're riding by yourself, that shit doesn't matter. You can fall and come to a complete halt as much as you want going down the run, and get those reps back to back to back to back to back. And not to say that I'm, like, anywhere where I want my skills to be, but if you asked me at the beginning of last season if I'd be happy with the progression I made, I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, from everything I saw, you made a very big progression. I think I saw you hit a 20-foot jump, like, before season was over.
Dude, I hit the big line at Brack.
Yeah,
I hit the 30, the 40, and the 50-foot
yeah,
jump.
that's wild.
That is
like,
wild.
I couldn't dream about hitting the last 2.
Wild.
Like, that takes balls and, like, ultimately skill.
Yeah, that was a big moment. I'd say that was, like, there are definitely a few highlights this season. That was one of them. I've been, like, eyeing up that line forever, and, you know, hitting the first, because Breck has, like, 1, 2, and 3 we're at the top of Park Lane, and those were probably, like, a 10-foot, a 20-foot.
Might have been like 10, 15, 20.
Yeah, they were good jumps, but they weren't crazy compared to the 4, 5, 6 at the bottom of the park, and those ones were big, like XL lines. And, you know, other people that ride are probably used to those type of jumps, but for me, this is my second season in Western, you know, mountains. We grew up in East Coast, you know, Maryland, Pennsylvania hills, and the Appalachians, where it's, you know, nothing like this. So for me, like, this season was a lot of trying to understand that, like, hitting jumps with doing no tricks is a trick itself. Like, every part of the jump, like, needs focus, and you have to hit, like, you have to take off right, you have to hit the approach right, the takeoff, you know, in the air you have to do things right, you know, or to be stable and, like, float through and not freak out in the middle of the air, which throws off your balance and fucks everything up.
Big time.
And then landing is a whole thing, and then, you know, lining up for the next jump, because they come 3 in a succession, so it's like there's so much that goes into it. So I really just focused on not overwhelming myself with tricks. Like, I can't even hit the jump. How am I going to do a trick? You know, that's not safe. So I just, like, focused on hitting the jumps, basically just, like, ollieing over them as best as I could, and then just started dabbling. Luckily, I had some guys that I rode with, some coworkers and some just friends, that I was able to, like, follow up with their group and see them hit the jumps and stuff and see the kind of speed that they were working with, and like tried the jump 4 a couple times and like definitely cased it a couple times and didn't have enough speed and just realized like, oh, you just have to, like, there's no speed checking, you have to go as fast as physically possible on this board down this takeoff to get over and land good enough to then go as fast as you can to hit the second, to then go, you know, as fast as you can to hit the third, and everything comes together. Like so much speed, so much stillness in the air, so much like G's when you land on the other side of that jump too.
That compression.
Yeah, and that was a big highlight. I think that was a big highlight. I think that like pond skim event at Copper was a big event because like that was my first time doing anything well where there was like a semi, you know, people watching. And it was like YouTube televised and there was like a commentator on it, and not that I did anything crazy, right? I just like 50-50'd the tube that was at the top, which was, you know, off the ground. It wasn't like a flat tube. It was probably 3-4 feet, you know, off the ground, and it was pretty thick. It wasn't hard, but like that was a big thing. Just getting up, you know, urbaning on like backside onto the rail and then hitting the jump and then going over the pond and being able to do that without fucking up.
Yeah.
Without getting nervous, you know, or like fucking blowing it all right at the beginning because you like mess up on the tube. And that was, like, I posted a video of that. I think I fucking cried. Like, watching that, I was like, I can't believe that.
Nice, that's
like,
dope.
I got that, yeah.
Hey, that's
That was a
dope
cool
as shit.
moment.
No, I think a mentionable moment from this season is always Montana. If anybody knows me, I love snowboarding Montana. It's definitely a highlight, but what I don't know. What is your take on snowboarding Big Sky?
What do I think of Montana?
Yeah.
I mean, the skiing is beautiful. You know, it's definitely a bigger mountain than there are here. Kind of like Big Sky reminds me of Vail. Like it's kind of big and spread out, and like all the trails and the bowls are pretty wide. But I like Montana for like what we've been able to do for the past couple of years. Is it's like a retreat to go hang out with Mason and Diego and Hugo and you know, all the other guys that come out with us for those trips. We've done it 2 years in a row, and it's, you know, I don't really get to see Diego any other times. Other than that, now that he's all into golf, and he's always been into golf, but he's like really doing a good job with it now. And same thing with Mason, like I really don't get to see him very often either. So it's a nice like kind of tradition that we're getting going of you know, being able to go up there and have a nice weekend where we all just kind of like kick it and get silly and, you know, have a good time.
Yeah, no, I absolutely enjoy it. It's every year, the last 2 years, it's been a highlight of my year. It's good to go drive up there. It's the only road trip I take that's substantial, and it's absolutely rewarding every time.
10 hours, it's a long time.
Yep. First year it was 12 hours. But yeah, no, Montana's beautiful. I definitely, I don't know about this coming season just because my financials ain't where I want them to be, but I want to do a dual trip where we go to Big Sky and then Jackson Hole. The guys have done it 2 years in a row, but they got good jobs.
Yeah.
And so
Jackson Hole would be pretty tight.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I've heard only good things about it, but at the same time, I feel like I've experienced really, really fun resorts, so I don't know to be overly excited about it. Like, I feel like Vail, like, Big Sky is amazing to me. Like, those hikes at Big Sky, where else am I riding triple black diamonds?
Yeah, I mean, you can probably go to A Basin here and ride some stuff like that.
Sure.
But, I mean, we haven't hiked there. We haven't done I haven't done a lot of hikes at Vail either.
No.
But,
Just
I mean, regardless, like, that doesn't diminish how insane, you know, the terrain is over there.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, I don't know. And so I do want to go find out. wanna do it the right way. I wanna be able to stay there for at least a night or two, and so I'm definitely gonna hold out for that. If it happens next year, that'd be amazing.
Here or
Jackson?
Oh, Jackson.
Yeah. If it happens next year, that'd be fantastic. But like I said, I think I'd rather put money away at a higher rate than I am right now,
Yeah.
and that trip might have to go to the wayside.
Do you think you'd move up here to Summit County?
Within a time frame, like when? Eventually, yes.
No time frame.
Eventually, then yes. I do want to live up here for the winter at the very least. I'd love to own property up here in the future. I'd like to be tied in with the community somehow. That'd be really cool. Like, there's a ton of nonprofits and different things that you yourself are a part of, and or we've both gotten to do events with, and I'd like to work a little closer with that when I can. I don't know, ultimately figure out how to get back to the snowboard community. Like, if that means a product or a service, I'm down for either.
Yeah.
So I think living in Summit County would be the best chance of that for the foreseeable future, and so definitely living up here.
Yeah, I think it helps because there's a different community up this way. Like, a lot of the people that live up here year round and snowboard here, and like I've started to like recognize people, because just not necessarily that I am friends with at the moment, but you see people in passing and you recognize, you know, people around town and at different, you know, events and whatnot, and it's cool to see the community of boarders and skiers that are like diehards up here, and how their like attitudes towards the sport and the culture are different from, you know, other sectors of just the snowboarding industry. And not saying that like one's better than the other in any way, but they're all different, and I think some pockets hold more clout or more like, you know, social credit than others do in the industry. And a lot of those people that are like diehard into it and that go to all the events, like, and are recognized, you know, the people that you kind of want on your side if you're putting something out there into the snowboarding atmosphere. And the best way to meet all those people is to be up here and be one of them.
Yeah, no, that is definitely the dream. Honestly, since you started talking about it, I definitely would love to live up here. Just being close to what I love, eliminating that drive, kind of living a different lifestyle closer to what I think I want. Like we're both very outdoorsy people, and I think there's no better place to be than in the outdoors.
I haven't found one. But yeah, I mean, I think you'd really enjoy the type of work that I'm doing, or even if you got like electrical experience and take that into like Vail pays their electricians, I think way better than they pay the staff, because I think they have contracted and they ride around in Vail Resorts trucks, which are different than like the Breck trucks. Like it's almost like a corporate looking truck that says Vail Resorts on it, and those are all the guys that lay like the electrical wire and do all that for like the new lift projects and whatever, you know, electric needs to be put in or take or shut off for projects. Like those guys aren't Breck employees. I think they're more of like the higher paid corporate electricians that they like need to know what they're doing kind of thing. And like that'd be pretty cool for you to get into if that's the angle you're going towards, because
I mean, I've looked into, so Winter Park had a bunch of applications out for a software position, like minor coding, but they kind of needed someone to manage their apps and the system that integrates their apps with the ride. I forget, the Fast Pass. That's what it is. I don't know if you've ever noticed, Breck has the big old
Epic Mix.
Yeah, the Epic Mix. The sign is basically it's designed to kind of read your RFID chip and like keep up where you're at.
Yeah.
Well, Winter Park had a couple opportunities for that, and I looked into it. It's a little bit above what I know to do, and so that'd be something to work towards. But what I was getting at is, Vail Resort definitely has a lot of technical positions that I'd like to look into. They have engineers that help run all the software daily, from the scan guns to all the calendar times for everything and whatnot. So I don't know. I think there's opportunity. I just gotta maybe just get out here and then start applying from here. But definitely the future is coming.
Yeah, fun.
Is definitely coming. I think there's a better chance that I raise a family out here than in Springs or Denver. That's for sure.
It's just so expensive. I was looking into buying a house, or what it would take to buy a house up here, and I don't think I realized, like, a lot of the properties up here are $1 million plus, which is a lot. And it's a lot of debt to take, and if you can even have the income to apply for the loan, a monthly bill or a monthly like mortgage payment is like $9,000 on that big of a property, which is not feasible for me. So it's
I think
tough.
It's like, from what I know about real estate, I understand that if you have people that are willing to go in on it, and you can spin it as a business ploy, most banks will give you a loan. Like, they understand there's money to be made if they see that you have the finances to keep up with this.
Well, that's the hard part, right? Is having the finances to keep up with it.
Not always. It's about having your finances lined up correctly. Like, you could be the richest guy with a shit ton of debt, and the rich understand that you operate off of debt. But when it comes to buying a house, doesn't matter how much money you throw down. If you've got shit credit, they don't care. So if you've got decent credit with maybe less money, but the understanding of, hey, I've got 2 other houses in Denver where I've already leased these out. I've got a company that'll do this. I'm now coming to the bank as less of a risk than someone who has, say, $200,000 down, but shit credit. They might screw the house over. They got evicted out of their last house. They might be the richer person, but just because you have money doesn't mean you're the best lender.
Yeah.
So in little cases like that, we've talked about it with Martin, getting a group of friends, start a business, buy a house up here. Technically, obviously they'll still look into you individually, but it's less of a issue for one person to look a little bad, like worse than the other. And so I think a lot of time, like I've heard of a lot of families own houses out here together, so they own one house as a family.
Yeah, that's smart.
Families. There's plenty of businesses, corporations that own tons of these houses. I think Vailco owns quite a bit of the houses as well, don't they?
Vail Resorts, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they own some of these.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a pop. Yeah, I mean,
like
Breckenridge Grand Vacations owns all the hotels at the base areas. BGV is like their abbreviation, so that's like all the vacationers basically that buy like condos inside of those, and then they have properties off the base areas too that they manage and do all that. I know they have a bunch of property, but as far as like Vail owning like condos or townhomes in the town of Breck, I don't know, maybe over towards Vail, because like the resort owns property, land I should say, and then the town owns land specifically for Breck. And I believe Vail's the same way. I'm just not too educated on the way like their township works versus the resort grounds.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they own some, yeah.
I know Colorado's very specific county to county, but I know in Seven Springs people were worried about Vail buying up, like they already bought Seven Springs. But obviously they just own the business, not necessarily the land, so they bought up a lot of the houses around. And people were worried that was going to drive out the current tourists and things like that. But people were worried it would mess up the culture, basically. But I don't know. It's definitely, I think it's feasible. I think there are loopholes. I think there are ways that people have figured out how to amass assets like this. And so I don't think it's that far outside of the realm of...
Yeah. I will say though, like I've thought a lot about it, about buying a house or renting a house up here, and you can't get around the income sometimes, and if you're making a business just so you can afford the rent here, like yes, that is a viable way to go, but also it's gonna take a fuck ton of work. And if your goal is to live here and enjoy your life here and, you know, spend your time doing things that you want to do, and, you know, maybe having a business isn't the best idea, because then you're going to be consumed, you know, with all of your time working for yourself to make this business happen so that you can live up here, where like my head goes like, why don't I just pay rent right now? Like, yeah, buying a house would be better financially. Like, that I'm investing in, you know, I'm paying myself, you know, paying bank really, but paying myself versus how I just paying rent to somebody else and paying their mortgage. But I only have to pay, you know, $1,500 a month right now to live in this beautiful place, and if something goes wrong with the house, and the landlord has to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, they have to pick up the bill and all the liability for this like super expensive house, and, you know, all the township things have changed, and, you know, whatever the troubles are of being a landlord, they have to deal with that, and I just get to rent, and when I want to leave, I can fucking just let him know that I'm leaving at the end of this lease and walk away from this house and be done with it. You know, you don't have to go through the process of selling it or losing money on it or you know, something infrastructural like breaks. There's insurance and stuff, but for this point in my life, it seems like renting is probably the easiest way to go until I'm like for sure that this is where I'm gonna be stuck for a while, because that's what owning property will be for the first couple of years.
Yeah,
That was a long
legally in this in this state, I think it's minimum 3 years. But no, I definitely agree with that. Like, being liquid is necessary in today's world. I think, especially for young people. Like, yeah, the idea of being able, or not being held to one area at one time, is key. It's liberating in a way. It's mentally freeing to know that if, like, I'm born and raised in Georgia. If I didn't want to live in Atlanta, I'd be living in one of the most racist places in the state. And so I'd have to, like, knowing that...
Atlanta?
Yeah, Metro Atlanta is, to the outside Georgia, Atlanta is Georgia. But once you live in Atlanta, you realize Atlanta is a very small city. And Georgia is big as fuck. And as big as Georgia is, it is just as racist. And so some people learn to live with it. Don't get me wrong, there's black people in all of Georgia and in every little nook and cranny of these small little towns. But it would suck if I was tied to Georgia for whatever reason. I find that my family feels this way, but maybe property or whatever the case, that would suck to know that I couldn't just up and leave and go to Colorado or go to California, because that was the plan before this. So I definitely like the idea of being liquid. But at the same time, I also realize that lifestyle is hard to generate wealth. And like typically, most people that are quote unquote successful financially end up being in places for many years and establishing themselves. Yeah. And part of me wants to kind of entertain that idea, but at the same time, there's not a single place I've lived where I want to be for a really long time.
And that's my point, right? Like, you're right in everything you just said, but yeah, until I found that place, like, I can't be that concrete. And in the meantime, while I'm looking for that place, I'm also looking for what it is that's worth putting all my time, effort, and energy into once I get to that place where I want to be.
Yeah.
And then I can be like, you know, hopefully in the perfect world, both of those things kind of like, you know, the lines cross each other at the same point, whenever that is in the future, that like I find the place I want to be doing the thing I want to do. And then everything's daisies and roses for the rest of my life. Like, that's what this is all for. You know, I'm not going to have this, you know, anxiety about what I should be doing or where I should be once I get there, you know.
I feel that. No, I definitely feel that.
Whether I'm being sarcastic or serious there, I'm not really sure, you know, but...
It makes sense. But, alright, so what is the plan for this? I think one of the most common questions when friends ask me about you is, when's he doing the podcast again? So, what is the plan with your podcast? What does the
interesting.
next episodes look like if you have that plan?
Yeah, well, I recorded one episode with Felicia Budney, who is a really talented photographer out of Baltimore that I've known for a really long time. We've been friends for a minute. So that's recorded and done, and we're gonna go. I'm gonna go to fly back to Maryland August 9th. Go up to Pennsylvania to the new Gilson snow facility, and I'm going to do a follow-up episode with Nick Gilson, who's one of the co-founders of Gilson Snow. And this March, their factory where they make all their snowboards burn to the ground, overnight, and they lost everything, like all their machines, all their snowboard molds, and so in the meantime, since then, they've like found a new facility and got a bunch of new machines and like revamping things, and they're throwing this like summer snow day at the old property where they actually have like a proper rail jam in the middle of a farm in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
that's hot as fuck. So I'm gonna go out there and do an episode with Nick. And then these two guys, Tanner and Josh, who are also wrapped in the Gilson team. They did a huge, like 17,000 mile road trip a couple years ago, and just have some like their characters themselves are really funny to talk to and entertaining, and we're gonna hear all about like their travels, and really good storytellers about just like the weird events that happen to them on this road trip. So I'm gonna like break into all that while I'm out there, and then I've got a couple other episodes planned here, like Colorado based, with a few people that I don't want to say until like everything's confirmed.
Of course.
But yeah, it's just coming out. It's interesting how you mentioned like people ask about the podcast, which I'm so flattered by, because I didn't really think people were, and even it's been like since the last season, like I kind of took a hiatus with no real plan. Like it's always been a plan to keep it going, but I didn't like pressure myself to be like, okay, now is like I'm gonna start in whenever.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of like took a break, didn't think about it at all. Like enjoyed this winter and all the new experiences that were coming through. But consistently since then, there's been weird reminders like of the podcast.
Okay.
From people that I didn't think would bring it up, or from like weird omen type signs that like is from nobody specifically, but just consistent, like reminds me of the podcast. And it's almost been like those events have been like staggered out so that like if we're believing that the universe like sends messages, the universe is like, don't forget about this. Like I know you got shit going on right now, but like keep this coming. So we're just gonna keep it coming.
Fuck yeah, man! Listen to it. Listen to it.
I really can't. I can't ignore it at this point. It just it's gonna be there. It sounds silly not to have fun with it at least.
Most definitely. All right, last thing. Where can people listen? Is that going to be consistent with previous seasons, Apple Music and Spotify?
Yeah, it'll be the same. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, the audio and video will be uploaded there, and then you can watch the video on Spotify as well. It supports that, like kind of how Rogan, you can see like on the player,
yep.
Or like how the songs, you can see like the GIFs, like the little like 3-second music video clips they have like on Spotify. It's like that, but it's like the whole hour, however long podcast.
Nice. All right.
Which is cool. Not many podcasts have that, but I don't know why I do, but I do.
Hey, there you go. Hey, advertise it then.
Yeah. But I don't really have a direction with this. That's kind of why it's been so open-ended. And I'm just going to keep it that way because planning stresses me out, and things are easier when I just like do them and I'm in the moment. Like I said earlier, the right way always kind of seems apparent, but I have to like get to there before I can make that decision.
For sure.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll follow. No, well, there you have it, folks. That'll be another episode of the Mason J Show.
Jay, thanks so much for guest hosting
Oh man, this was
on my
fun.
own show today. I appreciate it.
Minor interruptions. Come on, dude. Really? Go.
Jay's dogs are getting
Oh
antsy
my,
for some
yeah.
attention.
He's telling us it's been too
But
long.
we're going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. We will catch you on the next episode. And Jay, thanks so much again for coming out.
Most definitely. This was definitely fun.
Wrapped.